Hello, this is Dan the Furniture Repairman. Today we got a video on how to use acetone and some profile scrapers and a few other tools to strip the varnish off of this antique door. So this is the scraper I'm going to use. It's a simple profile scraper. Get it at any big box store. This guy's got to be 8-10 years old. You can see there's a ton of crud on there. And then these are the parts that come with it, different shapes. And this, once you learn how to use this tool, definitely makes life faster. And then I use this little tool a lot to get into corners and everything, and you could spin it around, have it go different ways. Now I'm going to start off with just acetone. So when I strip any piece, first thing I do is put some acetone on it, rub it with a paper towel, and see if the old varnish comes off, whether it's shellac, whether it's oil based, whatever it is. I want to see how easily it comes off. From there I'm going to adjust the next step or just continue with that process. So you can see I put a ton of acetone on there, and I'm just going to wipe it with a paper towel, and it's real time. I don't wait that long. Now it's taken some off, but it's not taking a lot of it off. So what I'm going to do is take a paper towel and I'm going to fold it up, and I'm going to basically saturate it with some acetone and let it sit on the wood. And what it's going to do is, because it's sitting in the paper towel, it's not going to evaporate, and it's going to have longer to chemically work on that clear coat, which will soften it up. Once I get it soft, then it's easier to get it pulled off. And you can see I'm adding right to the top of this, and what we're basically going to do is try to liquefy what's on there. And you can see I'm just going to take my paper towel, move it up to further up there, and I'm going to just take my scraper and kind of find the correct position and pull back, and you can see it's just pulling off all that clear coat, and a little bit of work, and it just gets me right down to bare wood, just like that. So once you learn how to use the tool, it can be a very good time saver. And now I come back again with the acetone. You know, it's like my favorite thing. Now this is 4-0 steel wool, super fine steel wool, and I'm using it. I'm just rubbing through there and getting it to clean up a little bit of that extra that's left there. And always, please remember, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Once I have that, I'm going to go over it one more time, a little bit more acetone, and I'm going to come back again, and I'm going to work a little bit more of these problem areas that didn't come off the first time. And you can see I give that tool a little bit of a wiggle because I'm trying to find where it sits flat. And now I'm taking that little diamond triangle shaped guy there that I use, and it's getting me right into the corner right there, just like that, pulling that varnish right out of that corner. And now I'm working on the top here, and here's a side view, and this is going to help you see the angle. So the angle of the scraper, you know, it's like any tool. It's like working with a chisel or carver. You got to find the correct angle. And you can see I just shift my paper towel to a different area and let it start soaking in that area. And while that's happening, I work on this. If you want to try to support our videos, you can donate to our PayPal channel. We'll put it in the description below. And you can see my angle there. And I kind of almost feel I'm not pressing real hard. I'm pulling back, and I kind of adjust the tilt of it until I get a good scrape. Now there's different ways to sharpen your scraper. And we'll go through sharpening it. So you could put a hook on the end of it, or you could just sharpen it and then just use it like that. And you just got to kind of find what's going to work for you. So now I'm coming back again, a little more cleanup with some acetone, and work in a well ventilated area. You know, it ain't great stuff to breathe in. And then I'm taking my steel wool here, and I'm just dipping it in the acetone, and I'm coming back and I'm scrubbing this. And you could see the varnish just pulling right off that rounded piece right there. And we will put a link for restoration products in the description below. You'll see where you can buy Mohawk products, touch-up products. We'll make sure you have access to that. And now I'm just coming again with that little triangle scraper, just right where that little half round meets that door. Just kind of cleaning up that area there. And now what I'm going to do is work on these mullions right here. Now this is a true divided light window, so it's shaped, the glass is shaped. We can't take the glass out, so we have to be careful with it, and we can't press too hard on the glass. So what I'm doing again is I have the glass all taped off because it doesn't make sense to try to pull this out. And I got my mullion there, that little piece of wood is soaking in some acetone, and I'm coming back now with just some steel wool and making sure that I don't press down too hard I want to make sure that I don't crack any glass. That would be a terrible thing to do. And just back and forth, and all I'm going to do is just scrub off that clear coat, and I'm going to come back with my paper towel right here and work it a little bit more, and basically you'll see it'll come off. Now, if it's a very heavy oil-based varnish, you may have to go to a chemical stripper or stuff like that. But I usually find about 80% of the pieces I work with, I'm able to get cleaned up with acetone. It takes a little bit of elbow grease, but it leaves less residue. And most of the times when I strip furniture, I end up cleaning it with acetone at the end anyway. So it's just one of those things. A little bit of elbow grease, a little bit of patience, and you can definitely get the old varnish off, get down to some nice raw wood, and get your project moving along. So work at my paper towel, and you can see where we stripped and where we haven't. So we definitely pulled off enough, and I got this all taped up. Believe me, it took me a little bit of time to tape this guy up, all those angles and everything. Now what I'm going to do is just a stiff nylon brush thing, and I'm working these corners right here where everything comes together. So just like kind of a toothbrush sort of thing. This isn't a metal brush. This is a nylon bristle brush, so I don't want to use a metal brush here because I think it'll end up maybe damaging the glass a little bit or something like that. But I'm just going back and forth, just cleaning it all up. It's looking wonderful. Now, once the acetone is dry, like right here, sometimes there's a little residue left behind. That doesn't concern me too much. That's going to sand off. What I'm looking for is I'm down basically to bare wood. And it looks a little ugly here, but it's going to look that way. Now let's show you how to sharpen the scraper. So you can sharpen the scraper with it on the handle. I usually will take the blade off, and you can see this is double-sided, so you can spin this around, and there's a curved side on one side and the other. Now I round the corners of my flat scrapers so that they don't gouge into the wood. And our scraper has a little file tucked away in the handle here, which is very cool, so I don't have to go searching for a file. And it's round on one side, flat on the other. And basically all I'm going to do is just follow the profile of the scraper and just file it a little bit and get a good sharp edge on there. So learning to keep this tool sharp will make it work better. It's funny, but it does get dull pretty quickly from dragging it, because you're just dragging that sharp pointed edge down the wood. Now what I do is I usually just take it and run it up my thumbnail and see how well it scrapes on my thumbnail. That's the way I've been testing the sharpness of things forever. And what I'm going to do here is flatten the back. Now there's two different ways you can sharpen a scraper. One is you can put a hook on there, and I'll do that with my cabinet scrapers. But with the flat of this, I tend to just file that flat, and that gives me a nice sharp edge there. I never push, I'm always pulling this. So that's kind of the way you want to put it in, and then it just pops right back into the handle like that, and I'm good to go. Now this guy here, I'm going to show you a little trick. This is a curved one, and it's a little harder to get the angle, and we're going to use the curved part of the file. And what I do is put a little Sharpie mark on there, and I'm going to file the Sharpie off. So I got the rounded side of my file, and I'm working that, and I want the edge to get shiny, because that means I'm working the edge, and that's what I'm really looking to do. So there's a lot of stuff about the perfect angle and the correct angle, but by the same time, I don't want to spend forever trying to get this thing perfect, because I don't need it to be perfect. I just need it to have an edge so that it will pull off the clear coat for me. So you could see the Sharpie is getting pulled away or filed away on that edge right there. And then I'm just going to kind of do a little test right there. And it's pulling that right off my thumbnail pretty well, so I'm happy with that. So now it's time to sand, and I'm jumping right to 220 grit. So if you scrape it well, you save yourself a ton of sanding. So I tri-fold my sandpaper. This helps me get a good handle on it. I won't use a machine. Now I scraped going against the grain. I wasn't worried about that, but I will sand just with the grain right here, and I'm going to work it. And what I'm looking for is a nice sawdust powder coming up. If my sandpaper gums up, then I know I haven't gotten enough varnish off, and I'll go back and I will either acetone or scrape it again, or change my procedure, maybe to go to more aggressive chemical or something like that. So I'm going to just sand it with my grain just like that, and just a little bit of fingertip sanding. Now, very rarely do I put a machine on a piece. There are some solid pieces that we do use machines on. But, a little area like this, I'm just going to take my time, hand sand it. I'm going to sand these little mullion strips. And there's no fast way to do it. And usually, if you try to go fast, you usually end up having problems. So, learn how to sand, learn how to be patient, enjoy it. It's peaceful stuff. I enjoy seeing the natural wood come out and the way it looks. You're bringing off all the dirt and old varnish and bringing this thing back to the way it looked in the very beginning when it was first made, which is extremely cool to me. Once I have it sanded down quite well, what I do is I'm going to just take a paper towel with a little bit of acetone on it, and I'm going to wipe it. And that's the way it's going to look, is if I clear coat it. So that'll kind of let me see, how the wood looks. And this just looks like amazing to me. So I know nothing looks like old wood. Old wood just really bounces light so much better. It has some nice depth to it. The mullions, even those look wonderful. And a lot of the color from the original finish is still in there, and we're not removing that. We don't need to remove it. And here it is finished. This is the door on that beautiful cabinet right there. It's a wonderful curio cabinet. This is Dan, the Furniture Repairman. Thank you so much for watching. You have questions, comments, want to find some Mohawk products, look in the description, or if you want to kick us some money on PayPal. You all have a good day.